Drinks, food, art, fun. This is Hops and Spirits Kentucky.
We're back once again, and we're leaving the hoppy side, as last week we talked with the Kentucky Brewers Guild and Kentucky Proud about the Kentucky Proud Beer Series happening all across the state this month. And we're going to the spirits side as we have a flight night for you as we talk with RD1 Spirits out of Lexington. It's a fun chat as we get to enjoy two of their newest pours, newest releases that are now available. And it's with the full, well, almost full crew, original crew, as Chris and Damon join me for some pours there. And before we get to that, let's get just some news and notes around the state here on Hops and Spirits Kentucky. Barrel Bourbon recently announced the newest release of BCS Gray Label Bourbon, which will be making its way across the country over the next several weeks. This release of Gray Label Bourbon is constructed from bourbons of varying ages from 5 different mash bills. After marrying, the blend goes into casks made using 36-month air-dried staves that previously held Gray Label Bourbon to rest and further mature. It comes in at 100.58 proof, and its MSRP is for around $250. Some good news for those food lovers in the Lexington, Central Kentucky area. Sawyer's Downtown Bar and Grill is officially back open at 140 West Main Street in Lexington. The popular burger spot was originally located in Triangle Center, a little further down on West Main Street, but closed in May 2021. The new location will be family-oriented, cafeteria-style dining with a burger, chili, and salad bar, and it'll be part of the new city center there where the hole used to be for those familiar with Lexington and downtown Lexington. And also the Inebriated Baker's second location, we talked to her a while back. If you missed that episode, go check it out, is now open at the Fayette Mall. You can stop by Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. for its boozy cupcakes, cheese spreads, and candy. Booze and non-booze related, so you got to check them out in the Fayette Mall when you're there. A couple of sad bits of news, though. Tilty Bob's, a vintage arcade bar and restaurant, announced that it is now closed in Lexington. The restaurant opened earlier this year and was located at 319 Cedar Street. Unfortunately, they closed their doors, but I believe you can go check out other locations in Louisville, in the greater Louisville area as well. Also, Against the Grain's cocktail bar and venue, the Whirling Tiger, closed its doors in Butchertown. The iconic venue, known for its mid-century furniture decor, was open for less than a year. The closure comes almost exactly a month after Gold Bar, also in Butchertown, announced its closing. So a little bit of sad news there to go along with the good news. And also, I forgot about this, but Top Golf in Louisville will be opening here in the next few weeks as well. You can't forget about that, as that's always a good time. A few drinks and a few golf balls to hit around and smack around there. But up next, it's a flight night with RD1 Spirits in Lexington. As I said, we talk and enjoy some pours with Chris Tedderton, their VP of Marketing. Enjoy.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hops Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopsspirits.com.
Joining us here for a flight night on Hops and Spirits Kentucky. They're not far from technically where I live, although the crew is spread around the country, though, because everyone loves bourbon, not just in Kentucky. So let's get to the crew first, and then we'll welcome in our guest. Unfortunately couldn't make it this week, but we nearly have everyone back. Please welcome in Chris, who's also known on Instagram as Jeff the Rabbit.
How's it going?
And then we also have, he is the host of Brown Water Banter, does Brown Water Select, so many different things. You probably see him in Kentucky half the time anyway. Please welcome in D, a.k.a. VA Bourbon Hunter.
What's up, guys?
Welcome back, guys. And our guest this week, he's the VP of Marketing for RD1 Spirits, Chris Tedderton. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate having you. And, I'm curious to see, because you guys have been doing some different things there at RD1. And we'll get into that here in a little bit, but I figure we might as well get into the drinking because that's what a flight night's all about. Can you tell us a little bit about the first one that we're going to try, the RD1 Kentucky Straight Bourbon?
Yeah, so we launched our original company in line with William Tarr. So this is actually our second line out. It's our namesake line, so all under RD1. That first line, or the first one that you're trying there, this Kentucky Straight Bourbon, it is exactly like you said, it's a straight bourbon. It's a high rye straight bourbon. we kept the proof pretty high too. We're kind of a high proof guys at our company, and so we kept it at 98. We proofed it to taste, honestly. So we knew we wanted something high proof, but it's just really good. It's a solid bourbon, and we've been doing some really cool picks with it too. I'll try right there with you.
Yeah, I like the sweetness. Got a nice spice too. It just kind of, it's not overpowering.
Yeah, when you say high rye, how high is this rye?
21. No, I'm sorry, 23. I believe.
23.
Yeah.
Real nice nose. It's like 3-4 years old.
So at minimum 4. Yeah. So there's probably a few 5s in there as well. But the minimum is 4.
I love the
like
nose
the
on
nose.
this too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's just got a nice finish and everything too. So
yeah, I know you said that you guys you wanted to keep a high proof, and you know I'm a bit of a high proof snob myself. So I hear 98, and technically for me that's not really super high proof. That's like a real good sipper though, and so I wonder, like, what do you guys? So are you guys normally operate in like the lower 90s to higher 80 ranges usually?
no. So if you look at our first line that we brought out, I know we'll talk about this more too, but when you look at the first line that we had out, the William Tarr line, the original startup when the brand launched, there were 2 products. One was an 8-year rye blended with a 7-year bourbon. About 60-40 split. 60% was the rye mash bill, 40% was the bourbon. And that came out at 114 proof. So we found that was a really good proof, got all the flavors, took in a really nice journey. We won double platinum, gold medals, all the works the last year or so. The second product was a 12-year straight Kentucky bourbon. And that was at 120 proof for the small batch, and single barrels were barrel proof. So 123, 125. And that's what we liked it. We kept that there. We worked with Dixon Dedman, who did Kentucky Owl. I'm sure you guys and a lot of your fans are aware of that brand. Incredibly nice guy, majorly talented. But after he stepped away from Kentucky Owl, he was kind of just hanging out, trying to figure out what he wanted to do next, getting ready for his next project. And he came on with us just to lend some advice. And he helped us proof down that 114, and we ended at 96 just to add a different variation. And what was crazy is 96 to 114, you would think it'd just be a little easier, a little softer, the typical things. The flavor profiles were drastically different. So it was really cool to see 2 completely different variants, even under just one solid product. So that's kind of where we always stood. We like that 114, that 110 kind of range. For this, we did want something a little bit more approachable, but we didn't want to get down to 90 or 92. We wanted to still maintain a lot of that flavor. So we did it to taste, and we landed at 98. Now, I'm sure we'll talk about some more of this as we go on about some of our barrel picks. We offer some much higher proofs in some of those as well.
It's super interesting, honestly, because like even for 98, it's because of that high rye mash bill. It doesn't drink like 98 proof at all. You know,
Right.
Like if you didn't tell me, I probably would have assumed it's like 105, 110. That's not a bad
Exactly.
thing. It's very smooth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's I could sip this daily, and
Yeah, and that's what we felt. We felt it's a straight Kentucky bourbon, so we wanted something solid out there. Something to kind of build the backbone of our brand on. But it's got a lot of character, and we really like that. So again, proofed it all for taste, and part of our strategy is we won't put anything out unless we think it's really, really good. So there's no rushing to market for us. Does it taste good? Do we think other people will like it? Okay, then it's ready.
You should have that as your tagline. We don't put anything out unless it's really, really good.
Unless it's really, really good. Not just really good. It has to be really, really good.
Really, really good.
A couple
Really
shirts, some shirts maybe on the back of the shirt on the RD1. I like it. I like it. And you can send royalties to D. He's got that ready.
There you go.
All about
Trademark.
Exactly.
You mentioned, that this is a blended with some old, not older, but at least 4. So I mean, Were you going for any type of flavor profile with this, or did it just kind of come together naturally, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, being a younger company, it's not, we obviously don't have a enormous supply and inventory that we can kind of be super picky. What we typically, well, we're not typically do, what we did was we looked at the barrels, we decided which ones were great. We decided that, originally we actually weren't planning on putting this one out. You mentioned the French oak, that was going to be our first initial launch with this RD1 line. But we had the straight bourbon, and we were going through it, and we said, this is actually really good. I think we got something here. And we wanted something a little lower in price too. So the MSRP on the straight bourbon is $49.95, and the MSRP on the French oak is $59.95. So we wanted something that's a little bit more affordable, but still has, maybe not as high proof as D likes, but still 98, still got a lot of character at a decent price. So that was kind of really important to us. What does the consumer, do bourbon fans want? That's kind of what drives a lot of our thinking is, what would we want? So that's kind of what we decided to put out with.
Yeah, I think
This
it's
is
great.
I was going to say, this is a solid $50 bottle. And not only that, like with it being a Kentucky straight bourbon, it's like I don't know how to, like, it doesn't taste like the typical Kentucky bourbon, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
it's just something a little bit different about it. It's like it's almost like, since you guys are starting this new brand, it's something that I would like grab from going to like, if I'm going to a party with some other bourbon drinkers. I'm like, yo, like you probably haven't had this, like try this and like guess how much it is, guess what the proof is.
Oh yeah.
Like kind of like a game, but like, yeah, that's a solid $50 bottle.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and that was part of it. There's a lot of the typical caramel, vanilla, the tried and true flavor profiles that bourbon has. A lot are at 90 proof, 92, wherever that is, and prices are just going up as well. So we wanted to, okay, how do we do it a little bit different, right? People like higher proofs. Maybe it's not, 110 or anything like that, but let's kick it up to 98. That seemed to be really good, and we liked it. And again, let's get it out there at a really nice price for people.
Well, in all honesty, 98, if this is your quote unquote baseline product, that's high for the a baseline.
Yeah,
product. It's not 80, 85.
Yeah, this is the baseline. Yeah.
It's definitely not going to scare a newbie away. Somebody just getting into it, they see it, want to try something different.
Exactly. When a lot of that's that rye content, like you were talking about, rye just adds a little bit of flavor. We always say Scotch has this nice, really big range. If you like Scotch, the flavor profiles can be just huge in the range. Bourbon gets a little more narrow, and to keep it as wide as possible, sometimes you really want that rye in there. You get to wheated bourbon, and it kind of narrows even more. So we like to have that high rye to give it a little bit more personality, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I can say that, like, I mean, for what I'm going to say, it's probably a little bit expensive, but this can also even double as like a cocktail bourbon, just like with like the complex flavors. Granted, it's $50, so most people don't want to put a $50 bourbon into their cocktail. I personally think that you pay. I mean, the quality of your cocktail is as good as the bourbon in it. But that could double, because once again, like you said, it's that high rye. Like it sticks out so much, but not in a bad way, that like you can probably make a real good old fashioned with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Currently, the cocktails that we're kind of pushing out with our first line in William Tarr was our 96.4 proof. And that, again, that's a $59 bottle. So, we were having some pretty high quality bourbon, bourbon blend going into cocktails there. So this is even a little bit more affordable, which is nice.
And then the name RD1. Can you explain how that came to be and why you guys ended up settling on it?
Sure. Yeah. So we wanted to tell the story of Lexington and the history Lexington, Kentucky has with bourbon. Louisville's obviously, probably the capital of bourbon in the world. And there's Bardstown, all these other great places in Kentucky, but Lexington still was trying to find its footing, we felt. And from us being from Lexington, we really wanted to tell that story. And it's not just the history. We want to tell the history of what Lexington had back in the 1800s, 1900s, all of that. But we wanted to tell modern history too. What's happening recently? And obviously going on, what's the future of bourbon in Lexington? What can Lexington bring? So RD1 stands for Registered Distillery Number 1. We revived the brand from William Tarr, Again, we talked about he was our first line, as kind of a homage to him. He founded the first federally registered distillery in Lexington back in the 1860s. So essentially, after the Civil War, the government was trying to raise taxes and raise capital, raise revenue. So they made everyone register their distillery. And in this district, the Lexington district, he found the first one. It was the Ashland Distillery, burnt down, became William Tarr Distillery. But it was the first registered distillery in Lexington. We just kind of wanted to tell that story. And what does that story do moving forward into the future?
And then you didn't go with the Tarr name or the Ashland name, though. So I guess thought there.
Yeah, we were looking at it, and honestly, we wanted to expand it, because Ashland is one specific piece, William Tarr is one specific piece, but RD1 really covers this huge, rich history from a Henry Clay descendant, and the first president of the
Distillers Association.
I'm sorry, I went blank. So it's just
the United States.
Of the United States, exactly. But it's just this long, rich history, and we kind of wanted to capture as much of that as possible to do Lexington justice. So, we decided to go with RD1.
I have a question. So, and I'm asking because I've been seeing this a lot lately, like in the last 6 months, with brands that are, I guess, fairly. I'm not really familiar with the William Tarr, but I know that I started seeing it popping up in Kentucky, kind of last year, or maybe even 2 years ago. But I've been seeing a lot of brands kind of start with one brand and then branch out to another, just like you're saying now. What's the purpose or an intent with making them two separate brands?
Sure. So we didn't actually go into that as a strategy. So a little bit of the history of the company. It was startup in 2020. So the fact that you saw it, the past year or two, that's exactly when we've been in existence. It started in 2020. The ownership changed beginning of 2021, and the management changed around that time. So it was originally a startup. My family and Coach Stoops, UK head football coach Stoops, he and his wife were the initial kind of big seed investors to get this thing going. And again, in the beginning of 2021, Q1, Q2, we kind of helped take over the management, because that's kind of what my family did, is business management with, sales and marketing and finance and kind of the background of it. So we went in, and as we looked at it, we just kind of decided, how do we want this brand to be perceived? How do we want to move forward? And we wanted to get back to RD1. The company was always called RD1 Spirits, RD1 Bourbon. And William Tarr was just the first line. And the problem was everybody knew you as William Tarr. No one knew you as RD1. So we felt like we were missing that big plan of, we want to tell the whole history of Lexington along. How does it go into the future? Just to carry that entire name. So that's why we decided to make that shift. Now, the cool thing is William Tarr, the bourbon and whiskey that was in those bottles, or that is in those bottles, was always a limited release. You got a specific amount, so it was always a limited release. So when the bottles are gone, they're gone. And it turns out we kind of worked on the timing, and they're now starting to run out officially and selling out. So we launched the new RD1 brand as well.
Got it. And are they separate mash bills, or are they the same mash bill?
No, completely separate mash bills too.
Got it. Okay, got it.
And
that makes more sense.
I was gonna say, I know just when you kind of do something like that, some people will be like, but I love that one. Is it difficult to kind of, get people to realize, hey, that was a limited release, it wasn't always going to be around? Because not everyone gets that, and then you kind of get that fun backlash that is going to be there when you release a new batch, or kind of go a different route.
Yeah, and part of it was hard for us too. The 114, I'm a huge fan of. We need to make sure you guys get a bottle and get a chance to taste those. But I'm a huge fan of the 114. But yeah, so it was kind of hard for us as well. We didn't want to see it go, but that's the nature of the beast of starting a brand new brand, doing a startup, getting a limited amount, and that's just kind of what you're launching with. So yeah, we've had some people that are obviously going, oh, but that's really what I really wanted. I really like this. And that's why we said, well, go get as much as you can now before it runs out, right? So yeah, that's always been a little difficult, but it's not hard, educating people that this is limited release. That's kind of always been the communication with this, with William Tarr. The good news is the RD1 stuff we have is not limited release. That's standard, always on the shelf, kind of forever products. But we've got some really cool things that we're doing that will be limited. Kind of one-offs, really exciting stuff that I'm just excited about.
All right,
Nice.
so let's get to that second pour that we have tonight, the French oak.
French oak.
Nice color.
Yeah, beautiful color. This one got us really excited. Again, Dixon Devon's now gone on and he's starting his new brand, but we got him to try this as well, and he loved this one.
So when it passes his test, you're that's when you're like, all right, we got something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice to have someone's approval that's on his level.
Yeah, it's incredibly smooth. That's good.
Okay, so is this?
A lot of chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
I get chocolate. I'm assuming is this the same mash bill as the Kentucky?
Yeah, same mash bill. Only difference is it's finished. Yeah. Now the only other difference is actually the proof. So I'll let you guys determine. It might be written on the sample that you have, but you can tell me if you think the proof is higher or lower.
I was going to say I get so much of that raw spice again that you might be tricking me again. Let me see.
I know the answer, but I haven't.
Yeah, me too. I know the answer too. So I'm not going to cheat. I know the answer.
All right, I'm going to say it's the same proof.
No, it's actually 101.
Yeah,
we moved it up. Yeah. Again, we proofed it to taste. We wanted to try something. We wanted to keep it probably around that 100 range. We like it, pushing it a little bit higher. And we just got so much flavor out of it when it's over that 100 proof range, and we settled that 101 really nicely.
How long was it finished in the French oak?
That was finished about 2 months, I believe. So not very long.
And was that kind of a taste it kind of thing, or did you guys plan on 2 months?
Yep. No, we did a test ourselves, and it went longer. And with a single barrel, it was pretty good. But when we started blending it, you could tell, maybe it was probably a little further gone. But we, as you go, we have samples from week 3, week 5, week 7. So we were doing all kinds of mad scientist things. And we found week 7 worked really, really well. I believe it was around that week 7, week 8 time period. And it just turned out really well. Really, really smooth. It gives enough of that roundness and flavor that you want. We were just excited about this one.
I got a 2-part question.
Sure.
Hope I didn't forget it. Hold on. All right. So number 1, when you said finish in French oak, I think you kind of implied earlier. Is it a French oak barrel, or are you guys using French oak staves in a regular like American oak barrel?
Great question. French oak staves. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
French oak staves.
Yeah, we haven't rebarreled anything. It's all been the staves going into the barrel. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. So I know you said that it was finished for about 2 months. So is it that like you have a collection of, let's say hypothetically, 10 different barrels, you put the same amount of French oak staves in all of them, and then they're all in it for 2 months? Or is it like, maybe this barrel could be I don't know, 5 staves in here for 2 months, 10 staves in here for 1 month, and then you kind of blend it together, see what you get?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the original test that we did, because we like to experiment like crazy as much as we can. The problem is you're experimenting with, pretty expensive
money.
You're experimenting with money. And you've got to wait sometimes. So it's not like you can just go in and try it and at the end of the day have your answer. So the first test, we did different amounts. And then we kind of did a blind test with all our team, and we found that typically there was a certain number of staves and a certain number of weeks that just worked. So when we came out with this, it was all same stage, same amount of French oak, same time period. Yeah. Now, that isn't to say that as we move forward, we might try some more tests and go, oh, what if we did this? And we just get a really great flavor that we want. That's kind of, again, that's kind of our thing, is just what's really, really good, and it'll go out.
There you go.
I like it. So what's everyone thinking on this one?
I like it. I think it gives you a whole different profile. I'll say that I lean more towards the Kentucky bourbon more than this one, because I think that honestly, I think that the French oak finish kind of, I don't know the best, like almost like makes it like too rounded out, like almost like I like sometimes like a little bit of a bite on my pour.
Yeah.
And so this
You
is
take
so
some of the spice away.
yeah. And so like, this one is just like real smooth, which is like, once again, that's more of a preference thing than anything. But this is
exactly.
also a solid pour.
Well, and that's part of the strategy, right? Like when we're coming out with multiple things, we want to be able to offer things to multiple people, because bourbon people have vastly different flavors and styles and preferences they want. So some like that really strong kick, some want high proof, some want low proof, some want that smoothness. So that's kind of what we get to go into, and we get to say, okay, well, what's this one do? What's this one do? So each bottle that we have kind of has its own personality, which is really, really cool.
Is the French oak approximately around the same age as the Kentucky straight?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
At least minimum of 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big color difference.
Yeah.
We noticed that as well. And it's just what the French oak and what the finish does to it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Definitely.
You would have thought I would have paid closer attention to that. I did not. It's been a crazy week around here. That's all I'm going to say. Now,
hey, we all have those crazy weeks.
Yeah.
Now I gotta ask you. You guys, have a storefront, a kind of a tasting room down in probably one of the coolest parts of Lexington. How did you guys settle on being in the Distillery District and being part of that in Lexington on the Pepper campus there?
Sure.
Pepper campus, I should say.
Yeah. So the what's interesting is the original William Tarr and Ashland Distillery was on Manchester Street as well. It's not too far from where the Distillery District is. So that was kind of really a drawing point for us. We wanted to be in a really cool location. Our brand is all about youth and energy and fun, and just having a premium product that's accessible and really fun to have. So the Distillery District was a great location. It's been our starting point, and I say that specifically because we're now currently looking at, how do we expand, how do we do even more. So I've actually been working with architects and designers, and we're designing out our new location that we'll announce in the coming future. But this new location will be unlike any other bourbon brand experience that's out there. This is an immersive, really, really cool experience. You go away feeling like you dove just straight deep into what bourbon can be. And there's some of the things that we're going to be doing there's nothing out there like this. So we're really, really excited. But again, to answer your question specifically, we wanted to be in a really great location that's accessible to everybody, that people can get to and can come enjoy. And again, there's a history on that street, Manchester Street. So we like that.
And if you
I know nothing about Lexington, so.
Well, you need to come visit me.
Yeah. Come visit Jonathan, come by our location, come have a good time.
And for those that don't know about the location, the Distillery District is really cool. They are one of 3 different distilleries or tasting rooms in one location, down to 1 brewery and 1 cidery as well, a couple of restaurants, all in a literal parking lot where an old distillery once was, and that distillery is now actually back there as well. At least the brand is in the James Pepper Distillery. So it's a really cool spot, and one folks need to check out if you're in Lexington. If you're not normally traveling through Lexington, you'd have no clue it's back there, because it's kind of it's not sketchy anymore. But when I first moved here, it's a little sketchy getting there.
It could be
a lot of rundown buildings and things like that now. But shoot, there's what, a 8-story hotel going in like a mile down the road from you guys. So
they were looking at that. Yeah. And the other people that are around there have really helped build it up and make it a really cool, exciting place. So, on the weekends it's packed. There's a couple of live music places and all kinds of fun stuff. So always something to do.
Nice.
And you touched on this earlier, preserving kind of the history of Lexington bourbon with this. Why is that so important? Because there are a few distilleries here, but honestly, a lot of the ones that were here are no longer here. It's not like there's a lot of history with a lot of them.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of the history of Lexington. Again, us kind of being from Lexington, Coach is obviously here and part of that culture. And I guess that's probably the better reason is we wanted to explain and express Lexington's culture. There's just a really cool, sophisticated culture that we think Lexington has. We've got Keeneland and UK, and there's just a lot of stuff to do, and bourbon plays a big role in that. So we were excited to kind of bring that out. And we kind of tag that as bluegrass glory, and it's just that feeling when you're in Lexington. It's just nice. There's this politeness and this sophistication that we really like. So we wanted to try to pour that into the brand that we've got and let everybody enjoy.
And then I feel like this is always a loaded question sometimes for folks, but obviously, I figure out I'll preface it with that.
Sure.
But if anyone goes and visits you, they know it's not like you're a working distillery.
Right.
So what are you guys going out kind of doing what, say, a barrel does, barrel bourbon, and kind of that Scottish, the Scotch way of blending whiskey and finding a bunch of barrels from different places, or you just source them from one, or you have a contract distilling? How's that working for you all?
Yeah, and we're straight up honest about kind of where we are and where we've been. I think a lot of people, especially here, probably more so 10 years ago or so, sourcing was kind of a bad word. But there's so many brands out there that you have to, essentially, if you want to start up, you gotta source some barrels. Otherwise, you're putting $20 million down and building a distillery and waiting 4 years probably until something decent's coming out, and in the meantime you're doing gin or something else. And that's a great way to go. So yeah, for the William Tarter line, we did source that whiskey. Now we signed an NDA, so I can't legally say where. But we put the mash bill on the back. So if you know your mash bills, you can go read and probably can find out, because we wanted to be as honest as we could. So that was kind of the William Tarr. With this stuff, we partnered with a distillery out in Western Kentucky. And we kind of told them, here's kind of what we want, what we're looking for. And now we're coming through it. The other really good news that we're really excited about is we just broke ground on a new distillery that is being built also in Western Kentucky, and we'll be partnering with a few others there, but we're a main piece of that, and all of our new barrels will be coming from that location directly. So we're kind of moving from original just pure sourcing to a partnership to now our location, where it all be coming, and we're really excited about that. I don't have all the announcements ready, but we'll get back with you guys here soon. But where it is, what the name will be, and the master distiller are all awesome, and I cannot wait to share that with kind of everybody, because it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Okay, so wait, so you said you guys broke ground on a new distillery in Western Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So is that your distillery? So I'm just trying to figure, so will that still technically be sourcing, or is it your barrels?
Yeah, no, we have ownership of it.
Okay, got it.
Now it's not 100% ownership, right? There's, as we're a lot of money going into that, so there's some other players in that, but yes, we will have ownership of that distillery, and be able to do a ton of barrels out of there and exactly how we want it. So, and we're working directly with that master distiller who we're bringing on, and he's fantastic. So we're just really excited about what's coming up here soon.
Nice.
I think I might be putting a few things together. I'll ask the question offline, see if I'm
I
correct
appreciate it.
or not. But to do that out there, but then you're obviously hoping to build a newer experience here in Lexington
Sure.
too. I'm guessing so you'll have the kind of the two spots then.
Yeah. The distillery out in Western will be more of the production side. We wanted to try something different. There's a lot of people, you go on the distillery tours and you see the fermenters, you see everything, and then you go to the next one and you see the same kind of stuff. So, which is great. And those guys have amazing history and amazing, just time and expertise in those buildings. And some of it goes way, way back, which is incredible. Obviously we're breaking ground on a brand new one, so we don't have that, but we wanted to be somewhere central into Kentucky. We love Lexington. We wanted to keep our footprint there. So yes, the new tasting room and everything that we'll be bringing, the whole new experience, will be in Lexington, in the heart of Lexington. So easily accessible to people on the Bourbon tour and, people coming to see all the other brands. We want to be a major part of that.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense because me personally, when it comes to like the bourbon tours, I don't care about them. Like I don't like, like you said, it's kind of like the same story. It's like
Sure.
you go and they're like, oh, in the 1800s, so and so was a rebel and he started this distillery underground that became big, and there was a fire and they had to rebuild. And then it's like okay, I get it.
Yeah. We went through them too. And again, when you're seeing the historic grounds, I think that's one thing, and it's amazing. But again, for the longest time, we didn't have any grounds, right? Like we're still, just trying to make it as a brand. So we wanted to do, okay, well, what can we do? What can we offer that's different? And one thing that we're doing, that we're just really excited about is these finishes. So you tasted one, that French oak. We have 20 others that we're working on. And a lot are going into private barrel select. So, someone may come to a barrel pick, whether it's a retail store or a bar or restaurant, or even private people. They can get with their friends and go buy a barrel, and we'll put your name on the label directly, and you've got your own barrel. The cool thing about that is you may have the one and only barrel finished in X, whatever that is, that will never hit shelves, as a part of our lineup, and may never even hit shelves again as part of a barrel select. So, we're doing stuff that's just probably no one's ever seen before, like red oak, yellow birch, cherry wood, sassafras, amberana starting to come up there. But that one, I'm really excited about that. That's just a whole nother flavor. But sassafras is one we talked about that, I don't think anybody's ever seen something like that. And we just did a barrel pick, and someone picked that barrel. It's the one and only barrel that we had. And, we may do another one, but as of right now, when that launches, that'll be the only barrel, at least in our brand, that's finished in sassafras. And again, I don't know many other brands that do that. So part of that experience at our location that we're building out will be a finishing experience. We want you to see the cool stuff, the finishing experience, the flavors. We want you to get to the tasting part, right? That's why most people like us, we go to these distillers. We want to taste the bourbon. So we want to really focus on, let's get you in and let's get you to taste it and see if you can pick up flavors, and how can we build the tasting experience even further with, different food pairings, and how does that accentuate the flavors?
Definitely.
I like that. So what I'm guessing the goal is to kind of do some more releases, one-offs, limited edition, things like that, or seasonal or so forth, something like that. Is that kind of the future goal?
Sure. Yeah. I'm literally putting down, finishing up our next couple year plan right now. One of the pieces we want to build out, what's our core line that people can get all the time. We want to build, a solid offering for people to be able to come in and know, have their personality match something that we've got, which is obviously fantastic that we want. But yeah, we're going to be doing some really cool limited releases and limited offerings, especially as we expand out. Right now, we're only in Kentucky physically on shelves. We're about to go into Indiana physically. Right now, you can go onto our website and you can order online. And there's about 25 states that can get shipped to. In the next couple of weeks, we're about to partner with another company that will expand that to about 44 states. So, hopefully most of the US can grab a bottle of something they like from us. And, we'll do some store releases, and those will be available for shipping as well. But yeah, we want to build out that core lineup that are always on the shelves, that speak to that personality. But we want to do some really cool limited releases that, you know, are just not out there, that people don't see. And again, how do we do that with barrel picks with, you know, guys like you or stores or whatever?
Yeah, that's cool. What about Raz?
Yeah, you know, we've looked at that. As of right now, we're kind of really sticking with bourbon. Now, again, we've had some really good success with the rye and bourbon blend, so I could see us coming out again with something like that. You know, we want to try some different blending. You know, maybe it's a 3 mash bill, 4 mash bill. You know, how do we do something really, really cool? So, you know, as far as just straight rye, you know, maybe that's something we do in the future. It's not currently on our plan. But yeah, we're always, you know, we're open to anything.
Nice.
And you call yourselves RD1 Spirits. Are there
Exactly.
any other spirits that are also maybe in that plan?
You know, we called ourselves RD1 Spirits on purpose instead of RD1 Bourbon because we wanted to open it up. Currently in the you know, near future, there's nothing on the horizon right now. But you know, we've looked at a couple different things, and that might be something we do. What could we do? You know, we could do, you know, tequila or rum or whatever, and then we could always finish in those bourbons. So there's lots of options we could do. One thing we did, which was really cool, is we partnered with University of Kentucky's distilling college, and they made gin out of a still that we have at our tasting room on Manchester Street, which is really cool. So you know, we've now got a little bit of experience running gin through the still, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, as of right now, as of the next probably 1 or 2 years, it's probably going to be either, you know, bourbon or some kind of blend, and lots of fun finishes and crazy cool stuff like that.
Nice.
I like it. I like it. So,
Awesome.
guys, any other questions there?
I'm all out.
What?
I like this. These are great questions.
Chris,
You guys need to come down to Lexington and come see us and try some stuff straight from the barrel and all the different crazy finishes we've got. See what you really like.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to find like some butternut pecan wood finish or something, you know.
You know what? We might have something for you then.
Hey, let's do it, D. That sounds good to me. Let's make it, you know, make a plan.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, Chris, I appreciate you sharing some pours with us, sharing the story of RD1, and I'm excited to see what you guys have going, because I think one of the coolest things is the price points on these ones. You don't see a lot of new brands dropping a $50 bourbon that's at least a minimum of 4 years. You know, that's pretty impressive, and it also tastes good, which is also as impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of that, as we're looking at those barrel picks, you know, obviously we can't control everything with the price, but you know, for the barrel picks, if a liquor store came in and you know, your local liquor store came in and did a barrel pick with us, you know, they've got the option of selecting it at 101 proof or barrel strength. And we've kind of pushed the MSRP to be at the 101 proof to be $64, $64.95, and the barrel strength to be at $84.95. You know, so how often do you see a store pick finished in something that maybe you've never seen before at barrel strength at, you know, $84.95? So you know, it's about accessibility. It's about premium, you know, premium bourbon, premium process. And again, we think bourbon's all about bringing people together. So we want people to try it.
Agreed.
Completely agree. Well, Chris, I appreciate it. And D and the other Chris, thanks for sharing some pours with us.
Definitely.
I appreciate it, guys. Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.